Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Laugh Daily Podcast. We got a special one for you because if you're watching the video right now, we have, for the first time ever, 3 people at one table because we have a special guest today. Andrew, why don't you introduce him?
Welcome, Rick Douglas,
Ooh.
also known as Rick.
Sorry, I was a little late on the clapping.
Or a little early.
Just also known as Rick.
Just you can call him Rick. Rick the editor.
Hey.
On Instagram.
So Rick edits our videos.
How long you been editing, Rick, for us?
For you guys, we're going on 2 years now.
That's crazy.
2 years?
Something like that, aren't we? Something like that. Like
I don't
year
even
and a
know.
half, 2 years, somewhere in there.
We'd have to look at the paperwork to get
But nevertheless, a while.
Mm-hmm. And we have a bunch of questions for Rick today. We wanted to get him on the podcast because our previous episode we interviewed Hyper. We're just interviewing everybody on the team. And Rick has a lot of insight when it comes to editing. So Rick, get ready for some questions. But first, we have another game. We're going to start by playing best sound effect impressions. And Rick is going to be the one to give us the sound effects. And you have to judge. We're both going to do the sound effect. And he has to judge.
We do the same ones.
Yeah, on
just
different
differently.
turns. Yep.
Got it.
So we'll do like 2 rounds of that.
Okay.
So Rick, what do you want to hear us do?
Who goes first?
Andrew.
Me.
Yes.
Andrew, are you ready?
I'm ready for my first sound effect.
I want you to do a sound effect of a toad fighting a tiger.
A toad fighting
Think about
a
that,
tiger.
Andrew.
Okay.
Set the scene for us.
This is the rain.
Wow.
The commitment was really impressive.
What is your analysis on that, Rick?
You know, I felt the raindrops falling. I felt the bass in the voice of the tiger. I would give it a solid 6 out of 10.
It did kind of sound supernatural-ish.
Supernatural?
It sounded like some monster frog.
Well, this is like, the frog. Yeah, this is deep in the jungle, so that's where this battle took place.
It was a good battle. I don't even know who won, honestly.
Yeah, I gave a hint at the end of somebody retreating.
Okay. I'd have to listen to it back.
It's like a dog whimper, though.
I know. I thought it was a dog. I thought
Right, but that was the tiger kind of did that because the toad got him bad.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear what you got.
So you want me to do the same one?
Same one.
All right.
What was that? It sounded like you slurped him up.
I mean, the toad is a little small.
Wow.
Okay. I'll hold my opinions. Let's hear the official review.
You know, when the tiger made its introduction, I was very impressed. And when the toad made its introduction, I was impressed. Unfortunately, Andrew, I'm sorry. That is an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8 out of 10. It looked like
man.
It sounded like he slurped up the toad through a straw. He was like,
Rick, did you ever think you'd be judging sound effects in your life?
Sure. With you guys.
Yeah, anything's possible here.
As soon as I signed on to work with you guys, I mean, sure.
Very nice. All right, so I won the first round. We have one more round.
okay, let's
So
go.
you could win this one, Andrew.
But you are first.
Okay, Rick, what do you want to hear? Anything.
Anything. All right.
You edit a lot of videos, so you are very familiar with all sorts of sound effects.
That's true. Okay. I want to hear a hot air balloon surrounded by a crowd of people. It's about to take off, goes high up in the air, and gets struck down by a rainbow.
Wow, I love that. All right, I got you. Now we're at 600 feet. The end.
The end.
What was the sound of the rainbow again?
Yeah. It's kind of hard to think of these sound effects on the spot when rainbow has no sound effect.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I specifically liked the crowd and like you talking, covering your mouth like this and sounded like you're on the radio. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I was trying to do a bunch of people talking and it's kind of muffled, but
Okay.
Makes sense.
no.
I understood what the direction you were going with it. So I think that I'll give it, as of right now, a 5 out of 10.
Okay. You ready, Andrew?
Okay, I'm ready.
Here we go. Pull the lever.
The end.
Oh man, that was amazing. I'm sorry, dude. That's a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, that was a perfect score.
That was
That's
incredible.
crazy.
Congratulations.
Did we have
Andrew.
Did you visualize like two completely different scenes?
I did. I specifically. Your guys even had a British accent.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Wow,
did. Right.
Good touch on that,
Right.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Man, I like that.
I'll have to keep that in mind for future accents.
For those of you who are listening, I wish I could see it from your perspective because we get to see each other use our body language to associate the sound effects with. And
That's a perfect segue to say I'm really uncomfortable sitting so low while you guys already tall people, by the way.
Here's the thing. We only had 2 stools.
yeah, Rick, it does look shorter, but Andrew is taller in general. So
There's technically nothing out of whack.
no. That was a fun sound effect game. Any other sound effects, or should we just move on to questions for Rick?
Let's get into some questions.
Brilliant. All right, Rick. We each have questions. Well, let's take turns. I have a question for Rick, and then I think Rick has some questions for you and I, Andrew. So
Maybe.
maybe
we'll
we'll
see.
see.
Hey.
My first question:
Hit me.
what is the most interesting thing about working on the JStu team? Past, less than 2 years, but
Sure.
a lot of experiences.
Yeah. It's been quite the roller coaster ride with you guys, but it's like being on a roller coaster, but the entire thing is a giant drop and there's no end to it. And you're screaming the whole way down.
That's really good. Before you answer that, can you actually explain what you were doing before editing for us so people have context about like where you've come from?
Oh, wow. Where should I start? So I was born on July 20th, 1984.
That's a great start.
Ah,
No.
80s
What was
kid.
your occupation at the time?
No, so essentially I owned a business where I put on car races for a living. So I used to race cars all the time. We used to shut down airport runways, interstates, and we would turn them into large scale events and we would race cars. So I did that for quite a few years, almost a decade. While doing that, we were filming our events and I realized just how expensive it was to get an editor to edit your footage. So we would bring out a crew of people to film this entire race, right? And then the editor was 3 times, 4 times the amount of just getting the raw footage. So eventually I got to the point where I was like, well, I could just do this myself. So I basically taught myself how to edit out of necessity just to save some money. And then after I sold off those businesses and I was looking for something else to do.
That is a good kind of quick transition before you continue to answer the question. But this is just good how God works. You weren't even editing much before that. Like you said, you just
Correct.
started figuring out editing.
Yeah, YouTube University. That's how I learned. It's just teaching myself
crazy.
watching
And-
YouTube videos.
Yeah.
tell everybody how we met, Rick. I feel
So there's another YouTuber in the Springs who we were starting to get to know. And at the time, we were having somebody else edit our videos as sort of like a test. We're trying to figure out if this person was going to be long-term or not. And then we kind of stopped working with them. Nothing, no like issues, but it just wasn't like clicking right. We were at lunch with this other YouTuber. His name's Aaron Palos. And we were just talking about YouTube stuff. And we were mentioning how we were in the market for an editor. And Rick had done some edit work for Aaron. And he was like, hey, you should probably hit him up and just see if, because he recommended you.
Hey.
And we're like, okay, totally. So I sent you an email. And then you sent email back. That was just like a great response, like above and beyond what we were expecting from an email. Yeah. Like, I think you sent like a little highlight reel of like stuff you've edited and just like some background about you.
What for us.
Yeah. And like what bringing you on the team would mean for us and like how that would benefit us and all this stuff. And it was really professional. And we were like, wow, definitely got to give him a chance, Yeah.
Wow. And, there was at that time and still really like there was nothing I wanted to do more. Like once I set my sight on editing for you guys, I was like, dang, I have to get this job. Like I really want to nail this. And so when I made that YouTube reel, that editing reel for you guys, I made sure like it was the best clips. I made sure to answer your email and then I proofread it and I was like, no, we're going to remove this sentence. And then I had my wife read it. She's like, no, you sound dumb here. And so I sent you guys like revision 6 of that email. And man, I just really, really knew that something was telling me that this is where I needed to be. And this is something that would fulfill that kind of, whenever you sell off a business, there's a bit of like a hole in your life where it's a little bit scary where you don't know what to do next, And looking for that thing, what to do next was kind of daunting. And I felt like I found it with you guys. So,
wow, that's awesome. Because like when you sent the email, we also had another person in mind for an editing position.
I don't like him.
And we gave him some footage to do a test edit and he sent it back. And it was like, almost seemed like just a rough edit, like nothing really extra. I'm like, this doesn't really kind of blow us away. So you won the job.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So to answer the question, back to the question, what was the most interesting thing about working with us now for the past 2 years?
For me, it was, and this is kind of cliche, but it really was seeing what your guys' personality was like in real life as compared to the persona or who you are, the characters that you play behind the camera. And they're basically the same. Like they're pretty much the same people. I was expecting you guys to be a lot more grown up than what you actually are.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be like one of the coolest, most craziest experiences I've ever had because for you guys who can do quick math, I said I was born in 84. That makes me 35.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I was going to say.
Good at math.
And I spent most of my life being pretty serious, like a serious business owner running a serious event and coming to something so completely different. This is a whole nother world than what I've dove into before. And I just found your guys' presence and your guys' energy and your spirit to be something that is really attractive. And I love being a part of the team.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. And likewise, I feel like if I were in your position, I would be probably nervous too. Like, because when you do watch people on screen, they most of the time could be characters, and then off screen they're like somebody else. So I was curious if you ever were like nervous, like I want this job, but I don't know if it.
Yeah, but that's an interesting point because a lot of people I feel like view business owners or like people that own their own businesses have to be like this insanely serious personality in person just all the time. It's like in order to become like, a Fortune 500 company, you have to be like and just barking at your employees and doing all this and being really hard. So I don't know. It's interesting that we've been able to grow this business just being who we are.
Yeah. To capitalize on all of that, to wrap it up in a nice little ribbon, was my son was a fan of you guys. And so for me to get the dad cool points, my son is now 10. My oldest. So I have 4 kids total. He's the oldest. And he was already a fan of MoreJStu. So to become the editor of like the coolest TV show in his mind on TV, just, come I had to get this job.
That's so cool. All right, Rick, do you have a question for us?
Yeah. Why are you guys the way that you are?
Andrew?
Oh, me?
Yeah. Well, you answer your side of the story.
Oh, sure. Why am I the way I am?
Because you are different than me.
Yeah.
But why are you the way you are?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like a lot of experiences, like you could spend probably a whole podcast episode talking about why the way you are, nature versus nurture arguments and stuff. But I feel like the way you were raised and the experiences you have and the people you're around, all those things at a younger age can kind of mold you to be who you are.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I had a lot of good friends. Obviously, Justin and I have been, best friends for
14,
15, 17 years. I don't know. Growing up next door neighbors. I don't know. I think that definitely plays a role into it. And that's the way I am.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I feel like also being comfortable and confident in your own skin, in who you are, and like the quirks about you. Like, obviously, we have a unique sense of humor. We could easily just kind of suppress who we are based on like, oh, most of the world won't like this or won't think this is funny. But it's like, I don't care what other people think about me. So
Right.
then I can easily just be who I am, which can be strange, can be awkward or cringy, but don't matter. Like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just having fun.
And I think I resonate with that a lot too. I think by doing prank videos, public prank videos, that really kind of elevated that of being able to be comfortable. Because I know when we very first started doing prank videos, it was like,
Yes.
like, do not like mess up in public or like don't say the wrong thing and like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just gonna be so awkward. I don't
Tell
think
we're
I can
holding
do
back.
it. Yeah, but it's like the more you just keep doing that, it's like now it's like you're saying, just super comfortable with who we are and our personalities, our quirks.
There you go. There's the
Nice
answer.
job. Nice job. That was a super vague question. You guys nailed it.
Andrew, your turn. What question do you have for Rick?
Not really a question, but if you guys didn't know, Rick is one of the most talented artists I think I've ever
Oh,
seen.
snap.
So
no doubt.
we have got to hear more about that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever, if there's a story, if there's a reason why you are.
Don't and before Rick answers, don't let Rick downplay his artistic talent ability. He can draw like, it looks like a photo. Like, no
Yes.
joke. Go to his Instagram and let it speak for itself. Rick?
Well, it all started with me getting in trouble and getting grounded and sent to my room. So I skipped school. Don't skip school, okay? Don't skip school. I was in high school. I was a sophomore. Totally blindsided me. Called my mom at work, so she knew when she got home that I had skipped, and she sent me to my room. And in my room, I had a car magazine, and like this is. Let's see. So I was a sophomore. So this is 1999. And I didn't have a TV or a radio, or I had a radio, but I had nothing really electronic to do except for a car magazine. And I just grabbed a piece of paper. I never drew before that moment. And just grabbed a piece of paper and started drawing one of the cars that was on the cover of this magazine. And I was like, oh, like that was actually enjoyable. And it didn't turn out that bad. Like, okay, this is pretty cool. And so I drew another car. And I was like, oh, that one's even better. Okay, so I drew another car. And then I drew another one. And then eventually I got to the point where I was going to church and my mom started showing my stuff off, like started taking the cars that I was drawing and showing it off to her friends. And they were like, oh, I have a grandson or a granddaughter. Can you draw them? And I'm like, oh, a person. That's totally different than drawing a car. So I read up on some books, Lee Hammond books. She was amazing. She made a series of these books of how to draw realistic. And so I got one that was focused on people, and I started practicing drawing eyes because that's the most important part. If you don't get the eyes right, then the whole drawing could be dead on, but it won't look like the person. If the eyes are wrong, it doesn't matter how realistic it looks, it's not going to look right. And so I spent probably 2 years really just making sure the eyes were absolutely perfect, and then the nose and the mouth and the ears and all that stuff. And then you slowly start to realize, hey, the importance of these different features. What's the most important? The eyes. What doesn't matter? The ears. You can mess up the ears and nobody notices. I quickly realized that there was a little bit of money to be made in it. When grandma wants a drawing of their granddaughter or their grandson, dude, they were willing to pay. And so I was like, oh, nice. At a young age, like, oh, I can make a couple of dollars doing this. Yeah, okay. So I started getting really good at it. And then it started gaining me a little bit of attention in high school. I was always a quiet, shy kid. I was never really the center of attention in high school. I was always the kid sat in the back of the class, being really quiet. But then I started getting attention once people started seeing me draw in class. And then that attention turned like, oh, like a couple of girls are noticing me now. Okay, this is kind of cool. And eventually one of those girls was my wife, Karina.
Oh, snap.
What?
Yeah. And she had a birthday coming up. And her and I were, at this time, we already started dating, and she had a birthday, and I was like, I'm going to draw her a picture. So I went to her parents, right? And as soon as her parents see that, oh, he's an artist. Oh, he's not a bad artist either. Like, he can do pretty good. They gave me all sorts of baby photos of Karina. And then I took him home and I drew her a baby photo for her birthday. And that sealed the deal, man. She was way out of my league. I had no chance if it wasn't for my artistry. And now we've been married ever since 2006. We started dating in 2001, been married ever since 2006.
What a story.
And that's that.
Wow.
But the thing is, like, that's your God-given natural talent ability. I could sit in my room all day and not draw even like 1% close to what you draw. So seeing that and how God's used your art to connect you with your wife and just in general, man.
Well, thank you, man.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I'll always say that I think that the drawing, what a lot of people misconceive about drawing is that it is a God-given talent. I think that what is God-given to me is I have a sense of patience, and at that time in my life, I was very much a perfectionist, almost like an OCD level where everything had to be perfect, and I really liked everything in their place. But I wasn't a naturally gifted artist, I wouldn't say. I would say that I was gifted naturally in being able to practice more than most people and get laser focused on it. I would say my God-given talent is working really hard towards something that I really want to make it the best that I possibly can. And then through those years and decades of practicing and doing all these commission pieces that I did for people is how I got to be where I'm at now.
That's a really good point. And that's cool that you were able to like see that's sort of like what you're gifted in, because that can go into a bunch of different areas. Like, do you see that come out in your editing?
Correct. 100%. 100%.
I was literally about to add that in there. Like, I clearly see that in edits. If you look at Rick when he first joined the team, his edits, they weren't bad by any means, but looking at them now, like how you have like adapted and grown and like even taught yourself these things that like I would have never like thought you would have been able to edit. Not like in like, oh, you can't do that, but I'm like, why would he even try and edit like that? You like went above and beyond to do these crazy edits, and man, it's crazy.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And you know, you guys actually helped me grow as a person from that moment because, like I said, I was a perfectionist, really big perfectionist. And at the time, you guys were uploading, was it every other day?
Probably.
Yeah, I think we were doing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That schedule didn't allow a lot of time to spend a lot of time on that specific video. So you allowed me to kind of release a little bit of that perfectionism that I have. You have to let some of it go and just meet the deadline, you know? Yeah. And so I got really good at like, okay, what's the absolute most important thing about this video is getting it done. And then if you have time, go back and start really just spending the time that you can on special effects or memes here and there and things like that. But the first thing and that's most important is you have to meet the deadline. And then you guys allowed me to kind of let go of some of that perfectionism that I suffer from.
You're welcome.
We all probably suffer from that in different ways, but that's epic.
This can be just a simple one, just a fun question. What would you describe as the perfect dinner?
Ooh, pizza.
I knew that.
That's it. Just pizza, and on the side there's a plate of jerky, and on the other side there's a plate of chips and salsa. That's it. And maybe we'll throw in some Mountain Dew, a little bit of soda in there.
That's the whole.
What kind of pizza though?
Pretty simple. It could be almost any brand. I don't really care. It could be frozen pizza. It could be cold. It could be hot. I don't care. As long as it's got pepperoni, and then if it's got sausage on it, awesome. If it's got hamburger meat, awesome. But pepperoni is a must, and the rest doesn't really matter.
You are the biggest pizza fan I know.
Why, thank you. I take that very serious. I take that title to heart.
You will hold it.
I will hold it tight.
I have one. What is an interesting pet peeve you have? So to give you an example of why I say interesting,
Yeah.
I just found this out. Maybe I didn't find this out the other day, but I was having a conversation about this with my wife the other day. And an interesting pet peeve I have is that if the bag of chips gets low in chips, I get so annoyed when the bag is like still the entire bag. I have to cut off like half of the bag so I can put my hand in.
I totally understand that.
I get so annoyed at just this giant plastic in the way when the chips are way in the bag. I have to cut it off.
And you reach your hand in there and you get it on your knuckles.
Yes,
It's the worst. And then you have to lick your knuckles like some sort of monkey.
Yeah, but you cut it off. It's just so simple. You sit it on the table. It doesn't cover much space. Oh,
Totally get it.
so that's my interesting pet.
Sounds like a lot of work. You could just reach your hand in the bag for chips.
No, but it just takes 2 seconds to cut it off. It looks better.
That's
feels better.
2 seconds of chip eating it you just missed out on.
I totally understand, Justin.
I
I
don't
totally
get
get
it.
it.
There you go. Okay, well, you fellas, I want to hear yours.
What about
If
you?
you can think of an interesting one.
This is probably actually more common than you think, but like when the sheets are tucked in, like that infuriates me in the
Like
bed.
under
Like
the mattress?
when they're tucked in under the mattress.
Yeah.
I literally sit there and I kick as hard as I can until the sheets fly off. And I'm like, good, I'm ready for bed.
I already sense the anger in the
I
pet
get
peeve.
so annoyed though, like so annoyed.
I can totally visualize you doing that. Just
laying on my
livid.
back and just feet just.
what's going on over there, man? Take
have
it
a-
easy.
I have a ridiculous one.
Yes.
If I'm listening to music in the car or something like that, and I turn on my blinker, and if the sound of the blinker doesn't match the beat of the song, I'll usually turn off my blinker.
Whoa! I have
Or-
not heard that before.
Or the same thing with the wipers. If the wipers are going at a different rhythm than the song, I usually turn off my wipers. That's why I have Rain-X on my windshield, so I don't use my wipers very much.
It's like a blizzard outside, and he just was like, I can't take it. He just swerves off the road.
Well, you could technically just turn off the music just for the time being.
Yeah, that's one
Wow, that's
solution,
so
but
boring.
who wants to do that?
You're just so mad. You see this guy over in the turn lane just, just like losing it in his car.
The other thing is that, yeah, sometimes, when it's dark out and you pull up and you're behind somebody who's also in the turn lane, they have their blinker on, you turn on your blinker, and if they start on the same rhythm and then they slowly start going, I usually turn mine off.
That's funny. I kind of noticed that when we were all going somewhere and we were turning out onto the main road here, and you're like, oh, this matches the beat of like some song. I was like, what?
Yeah, it infuriates my wife when I do that. So,
Yeah, pet peeves are interesting. It's crazy how we all have like different pet peeves. Like even me, I feel like more on the clean side of things. So like if I eat hot wings or anything like that, I have 100% to wash my hands afterwards. I can't just use a towel. I hate touching my phone after using like greasy food. Oh man.
I get made fun of so much because I do love pizza, right?
Yeah.
But I hate eating food with my bare hands. I don't like doing it.
I get that.
So do you eat pizza with a fork and knife?
Sometimes I do, okay? Sometimes I do. Don't judge me.
I don't. My wife does that sometimes too, and I just look at her and go, what are you doing?
What whittling is your problem?
There are times where you have to break that rule. Chips and salsa, right? Popcorn, things like that. You have to break the rule. But there's other times where, like, if you get a drumstick, or even a corn on the cob, I like to get 2 forks and stab them in the ends and eat it. that way.
I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see Rick in the movie theater with a bowl of popcorn and a spoon. He's got a spoon, just
but also like a glove.
like what?
Because you're a car guy, so what is your dream car?
Easy. What do you guys think my dream car is?
I think I know.
I think I know, but
You
Want to say it
think
at the
you
same
know.
time?
okay.
Just the name of the car.
What if I were to tell you that what you think you know is number 2?
I don't
Oh.
believe you.
And budget's unlimited?
Yeah.
Okay.
It can be unlimited.
Okay, I think
Easy.
I know. Andrew, I think it's different than what we're thinking. But
We're going to say what we're thinking.
I'm gonna say what you say what we're thinking, and I'm gonna say what I'm thinking it is.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Viper.
Countach.
Wow. Really good cars. Neither one of you are right.
I thought it was the Lamborghini. Oh,
No,
what?
Not a Countach. Buddy of mine has a Countach. Shout out to Doug. That's a very difficult car to drive. Very difficult car. But you guys ready for the answer?
GT.
Ford GT. all day.
Oh, why didn't you say that?
4GT.
I just thought it was the Lamborghini.
Specifically, I like the 2005, 2006 remake of the old 60s versions of the 4GT, the GT40s. But because they're really easy to drive, the clutch is super light on them, beautiful car, 550 horsepower, and the heritage that car has, the history behind the 4GT versus the Ferrari 330 P4. If you guys haven't watched Ford versus Ferrari, go do it.
Haven't.
They made a movie about that, I thought.
You haven't watched it?
Uh-uh.
Please come over. I will show it to you in the best way possible. That
As long as
movie
you
is
make
incredible.
some popcorn and give me some gloves or a spoon.
And there better be pizza.
Dude, my wife,
Yes.
my wife makes the best chips and salsa, and
Yes.
I'll hook you up.
Let's
my
do
friend.
it.
I know you like salsa and some guac,
Indeed.
dude. I'll hook you up.
I love this.
Ford
Making
versus Ferrari.
plans on the podcast.
Yeah, the 4GT is by far and away, specifically, like I said, the 2005, 2006. It's a supercharged V8. I'm not much of a fan. I like the brand new ones, like the ones that just recently came out, but they're twin turbo V6s. Second car is the Dodge Viper.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
8.4 liter V10, specifically the ACR Extreme with the big old wing on the back. That's fun fact. It's exactly 1776 centimeters, millimeters, centimeters. One of those is exactly 1776 for the country when we gained our independence.
If you guys can't tell, Rick is a car guy. He owns a car business. He knows all these facts that I don't
If you have
know.
any car questions, hit up Rick.
Yeah, shoot him some messages. He'll be all
I'm
about
playing with a car right now as we
For
speak.
example, he's got a Hot Wheels. He just can't even let it go.
it. Well, before the final question, Rick, do you have any other questions?
Whenever you guys are coming up with an idea, what are some of the ideas that you throw out the window and say, heck no, we're not doing that one?
Huh.
I'm just trying to think of like videos that I just do not enjoy filming like at all. And we haven't done one of these in a long, long time. And no offense to the fans, but opening fan mail and making that a whole video,
Yeah.
I can't. Especially when we were editing it ourselves. Like I literally was like editing fan mail videos and I'm like, this is just dragging on and I can't do it. Like
Not that we didn't enjoy the fan mail. It's just such
I
a-
love exactly like the fan mail was awesome, but making it like just a video and then editing that, it was just not enjoyable.
We could really make anything work if it fits into the
Probably.
format, but
But that's a good point. I feel like this year specifically, we have been more on point with trying to stay within like certain parameters of our content versus years prior. We would literally do like anything. I feel like now we're at this point now where it's like, if we can't quite get it to fit into like our formula of how we do stuff, then it's like, well, maybe we'll wait on that or not do it ever, whatever.
just stay more focused.
So that's how we decide.
Can I ask you one more?
Yeah.
Has there ever been a moment where you're angry while you're filming?
Angry
Yeah.
Yeah.
for what? Any purpose? Any reason
Any
why?
reason.
I've been mad. I was mad during the Ireland Boys collab when we did the putting pumpkins in people's carts.
You were mad?
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Because we were getting mad at you?
Yeah. Like, I could not do that. I feel like that video is I can't. It's too awkward and cringy. And I couldn't do the task at hand at putting a pumpkin in a cart without being seen. And they were like, what are you doing? Why can't you do this? I'm like, I was genuinely like just frustrated. I wanted to like walk out of the store.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So that's my moment.
Wow.
For me, there's definitely been times I've been like, but I'm trying to remember a specific one. I don't know if I can right now.
Well, if you don't, save it for another episode, you know?
okay, we'll keep
We've all been
thinking.
mad. Well, Rick, the final question.
I'm ready. Hit me.
So I'm sure people watching, there are some up and coming editors, YouTubers.
Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody who wants to be an editor, either for YouTube, film, any of that stuff? What advice would you give them?
Oh, that's a great question. I would start with determining if this is really the direction that you want to go. And if so, you need to find somebody in that space that's already successful and just start following them. Start copycatting them. Start seeing if whatever the stuff that they can create, can you create it too? Like in your own way? Can you do it? And then once you get familiar enough with what your skill set is, like once you're in your comfort zone, you figure out, hey, what I know that I can handle this. I know that I can handle this specific edit or this specific special effect. Then from there, I would leapfrog to somebody else who's even better, and then slowly start growing yourself as a person by following those who are kind of trailblazers in the realm. There's a lot of them, man. Specifically, there's a guy that I follow on YouTube who has, I mean, some of his videos don't even hit 1,000 views, but his tutorials on After Effects, I use Adobe products, so I prefer Premiere, Adobe After Effects, Photoshop, even Audition, things like that. And there's a guy, man, he does the most amazing tutorials, and he has such a small following that I don't know how I found him in the first place, but I'm super glad that I did. And he's elevated my After Effects ability to a point that even these big YouTubers with some of them millions of subscribers haven't been able to get me to.
So is he kind of like the back pocket secret, or do you want to say his channel name?
I'll be happy to say his channel name. His channel name is CM De La Vega. I believe that he's done some editing work for like the NFL and even soccer, things like that. But some of his stuff, like whenever I was editing Victor Marks, and we did the splash background for the Victor Marks. So I freeze frame it, I splash it, and I do the screen shake, and then it's like a 3D pivot. All that stuff I learned from one YouTuber and I think that video, that tutorial had like 800 views on it.
Dang.
So information is out there. If you want to learn, just look. Don't settle.
So push your ability.
100%. I would say get yourself to the point where you're comfortable doing the basics, and then find somebody else who's outside of your realm or your capabilities and push yourself to get as good. And then I'm a competitive guy. Get better than them, right?
Yeah.
Get to their level and then just beat them, and do it without using their tutorial, and then find somebody else. And then to slowly start building that bubble, that comfort zone of yours, and making it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Good stuff.
I like it.
Well, guys, Rick, it's been epic having you on the podcast. And guys, the great thing about our team is we're all really good friends. And I think that's the formula to being very successful, is like not only we can work together, but we're friends outside of work. Rick has just changed the dynamic of our channel with his edits, so our channel would not be the same without your edits. So we appreciate you, Rick.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Indeed.
Very true.
But other than that, Andrew, final words.
Thanks for watching. If you guys want to leave a comment for some reason,
we may answer in a future episode, or that's only if you're watching the YouTube video.
True. And we appreciate everybody that's left reviews on like Spotify or Apple.
But
So
if you're listening to this in the car right now, just keep your eyes on the road and stay safe.
Give us a quick little honk.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Goodbye. Bye.